Welcome to the Bearded Bama Bushcrafter. Well, got me a little nollie over here hanging out. Hope you don't get on that pipe. I got my stove cranked up today. It's the first time I've been able to do it this season. Got a little thing I'm going to share with you guys today. Hopefully y'all will enjoy this. I was trying to make a video earlier and explain everything step by step, and the video just kind of failed on me. I think I'm getting smut all over me. Anyway, I have a Altoids can, and I do already have it charred up, burnt a paint off, and I was making some char cloth, and I was successful at it. But I was trying to show it in step. So I've got my can. I've got the fire going again, hopefully get a good bed of coals. And I've got me some small pieces of cotton cut into the sizes that I like. And char cloth is when you take cotton or linen, some type of plant-based fabric material. And what we'll do, we'll use this tin. These are good little things to keep in your kit. You can make first aid kits, fire kits, fishing kits, the list goes on and on. My two favorite things using these for are fire kits and fishing kits. For a fire kit, you can put all kind of things in here. Number one, always keep a big lighter on you. Always. Never go in the woods without a big lighter. This one, and I think the regular size fits in here, but I like the small one stick in here. This right here, I learned this some time ago. It's a straw stuffed with cotton balls, and the cotton balls are just slathered in petroleum jelly, and they're stuffed in. I crimped the ends with my lighter, caught them on fire, and just smashed it together, mashed it together. A little cool way to store it and keep it weatherproofed. Can't remember the 5/16, I believe, maybe the diameter. The 5/32 is this ferro rod. Fits nicely in there. Little piece of flint. This was a musket flint from one of my muskets. I need to work the edges to make it a little more sharper. It's not throwing sparks that well, but it's a still piece of flint. Fits nicely with the char cloth. You can also take, which this is old fat lighter, but you can take this and cut it and split it and make you some matches from fat lighter. And it's always cool to keep you a bundle of fat lighter in your fire kit. And I have some little tea candles. I couldn't find them. But keeping a candle in your kit, it's just about as important as having a lighter on you. In the video I was attempting earlier, I was successful. It's the first time I've ever done char cloth in my stove. Right now, I'm trying to get the fire. That fire's too much. I don't want to put my tin in there. I did put the tin in there to burn all the paint off earlier. Normally, when I've done this in the past, the only time I've done it in the past is in an open fire. And I'll rake some coals out and set the tin on it. And keep it where I can watch it, and I'm doing other things. When you're doing this, you don't want to put it in the fire and forget about it, because you'll just burn your material up. You'll have a bunch of ashes inside your tin. So remember that. Years ago, Canterbury made a video, and he would take and punch a little hole in the Altoids can. And anytime you have a tin, you want to have an area for the vapors and the smoke to escape as the material inside is charring. And what he learned, where the hinges are, those holes work fine, so you don't have to punch a hole in it. The smoke will escape out through these little holes here where the two hinges are. And you watch that, and when it stops smoking, you pull it off the fire or your coals, and you should have char cloth. And you check it, look through it, and if you still see some area that needs to be charred, just put it back in there for a little, a few more minutes. As I'm waiting for this fire to kind of settle down and make a little bed of coals, I wish I had a bluebird sky to share with you, but today it's overcast and rainy, which I think the rain has moved out. And I think the high today is going to be about 60, low 60s. So, what better way to spend an afternoon than at the shelter with the stove going? It's warm enough. I had my wool sweater on earlier, and one of my caps, I keep having to take my cap off. Because, man, this stove, it just throws out some heat. If I was to take a tarp and put it over the front, I'd run myself out of here. This thing works well. My wife got me this stove about 3 or 4 years ago. And, man, I've cooked on it. I've slept by it. Stayed warm. I'm just sitting down here sometimes just staring into it. Just a good old Ranger TV. And there's been nights when I've sat here and had the stove going and a fire out in front. And, man, that's just some good living to me. All right. For the material, I used an old work shirt that I had. It's 100% cotton, and you can see that over time I have taken material from it. I've made char cloth with it before from this same shirt. And here's my material that I cut today, and I like to have these sizes. I have seen them and ordered them, and they come smaller, probably a quarter to a half of this size. And you just simply take your tin, and we'll do, I'm going to leave that piece out. Just take them and lay them flat. You don't want them bundled up in there. I guess this is going to be about 5 pieces. Just lay them in there like that. Close it. And now we're ready for the fire. Okay, so I've got the tin sitting in there. This may be a little bit too much fire. I don't want open flame for the most part. I don't want to burn the material. I want to char it. You know, charring like char cloth. Not char cloth, but your charcoal briquettes that you grill with. And you simply sit here and watch it. And let's see how it's going to do. My first batch turned out real well. In the video I was making before it went away, I was successful in making char cloth. So let's see if we'll be successful on this round. Now, as you're charring your cloth, you can leave it, but keep it close. Don't put it down and walk off and forget about it. You have to monitor it. And I'm not seeing any smoke at this point under the back. So, well, what you watch is for that smoke, and it'll start coming out, kind of like on a tea kettle, the steam coming out. You'll see it, and you watch that, and when it stops, you pull it off and check it. So, while we're waiting, we may have us a little bit of a libation here. I'm keeping my eye on it. I don't want it to catch on fire inside the tin and actually burn the material. This is a fun little activity if you can get somewhere and get your little fire going and develop a bed of coals. Kick back with a nice libation. It's fun to get out and just do. This is what I call manly things. I guess this is basic dude stuff. Making char cloth. If you're into outdoors, hiking, camping, anything, hunting, fishing. Did I say that already? I said hiking, not hunting. You need to know how to make char cloth to have that in your kit so you can have another means to make a fire. Fire is so important when you're out in the outdoors. If you may plan a day just to go out and do a day hike, and next thing you know, you spend the night overnight on the trail somewhere. I know it's happened to me before, and a fire definitely makes your night better. You know, psychologically, it improves that. Just that safe feeling that a fire gives when you're sitting by a fire. The warmth of it on a cold night. Fires are they're important. And you need to get out and practice your skills, or improve your skills by practicing the technique like what I'm doing here today, sitting here, I can fail at this, but I want to fail here and not out in the field. That's the point I'm trying to get to. It's easy to think a lot of things, but if we don't put it into practice, and then we have to get out in the field, and when we really need something, and we fail at it, it hinders us and hurts us so much more than me sitting here in the safety of the shelter, not far from where I live, and really not needing it. But I will use this char cloth, later on. And it's fun just to sit around. Well, I don't know where I set my flint and steel, but to make a fire from flint and steel, it's fun. Like a bow drill, I've been successful in that. I'm not an expert at bow drill, but that's one of my favorite ways to make a fire. And it's one of the most challenging ways for me to make a fire is a bow drill. And just knowing how to make fire and being successful at it is important for anyone who goes outside on adventures and you're in areas that you could get lost and have to spend a certain amount of time and keep yourself alive. Fire will do that. So sitting here with my stove and making this char cloth, this is a learning process for me, but I don't see what the big difference would be. It is a fire. However, it is hotter in there than, because the heat is contained inside this stove cylinder. When you're out in an open fire, the heat is not as contained as much because you got a lot of heat, escaping above you. I was sitting here thinking about the Altoids can. On eBay or Amazon, you can order these little tins. But I like buying them. I like Altoids, the peppermint and the spearmint. I think they have a cinnamon. I'm not fond of that one. I can remember when those things used to be just around $1, but now they're like almost $3 or $4 a can. But I still buy them, and I've got a whole bunch collected up because it's a resource. I do have a plan to make some of my own fire strikers. I've got a little forge, and this is something I want to learn to do. Make some steel strikers, and I want to put some kits together and hopefully have them available for my YouTube channel. Something that I'm planning on doing here in the near future. Having some items to sell, I think will add to my channel. And I've ordered a huge supply of flint, and this piece came from Coal Cracker, and this striker came from Coal Cracker. And I liked it, but the only thing about it, it's a little too big for the Altoids can. Got some smut or something on my face there, huh? And my strikers, I'm going to make them, I want them beefy, but I want them big enough to where they'll fit into these Altoid cans. And I'll have complete little fire starting kits put together, and hopefully have those for sale in the near future. Alright, so I took the tin out. I really couldn't see it smoking properly, but I needed to check on it. God, it's hot, so it was getting heat to it, and I'm letting it cool down, and then I'll open it up and check it, and if it's not where it needs to be, just simply put it back on there and let it, go a little longer. Alright, so it is nowhere near where it needs to be. I may not have had the heat right with my fire, so I'm going to have to put it back in there. When you're charring your cloth, you do want to see that smoke coming out, that white smoke, and I did not see that. Saw a little bit of it, but you want to see, just imagine a tea kettle and that steam. You want to see a steady plume of that smoke coming out, and that's showing that it's charring. I don't think I had the heat right, so I'm redoing it, and we're just going to see how this goes. Alright, it is starting to char properly. It's caught on fire inside. See those flames? I got to move it off that. Y'all stand by a second. Okay, I had flames coming out of the box. See the white smoke coming out? That's why I don't want to put it, I don't like the open flame, because it will get hot enough in there and it will just, it's catching on fire is one thing, but burning to a crisp ash is another, and you don't want it to do that. So that's why it's good when you're doing this. You can, man, this little stove really warms up this area. So it's just monitoring it and keeping a close eye on it so you don't actually, burn your material to an ash. You want it charred, not burnt. All right, I'm going to attempt to show y'all the smoke. If you can see the smoke coming out of the back there at that hinge, that's what you want. That is showing me that that material is charring properly. And that's what you want. So when that stops, we'll pull it off and check it. May be successful in this go around. See that smoke? I think it charred. I'm gonna let it cool down. I'm gonna open it up and we'll look at it, and then we'll test it. All right, so the can has cooled down nicely, and looks like it's good and charred. I'm getting a residue in my can from something, and I'm thinking that I may have used this shirt a few times with some boiled linseed oil, and that may be hindering me a little bit. I'm not used to that, seeing that in my can. So anyway, let's take a piece and let's see if we're successful here. Success this afternoon will simply be just catching a little ember. Alright, stand by. Caught one. Success. And what you would simply do, you'd take this piece of char cloth, you'd have your bird nest fire bundle, you'd put it in the center of it, bring your nest, put it in there, tuck it in there nice, and then start blowing on it. That is doing very nice. So we were successful with the char cloth this afternoon. I got to work on that piece of flint and get some edge on it sharpened. Alright guys, well, that's what I wanted to share with y'all today. Just putting a little kit together. And in this little kit, unfortunately, let me set this here. My striker's too big, and of course that flint is way too big. That's why I was thinking with my musket, this musket flint, that's still going, guys. That's good char cloth. That's what you want. So I have my char cloth in here. Nice little kit. And I'll need to make me get me a smaller striker that will fit. And you can take you a little piece of cut inner tube, as Canterbury calls them, Ranger bands, and it'll keep your kit nice and secure. And there you go. Little fire kit. You can also buy those little wet dry tabs. Walmart carries them. Little fuel tabs. Wet fire, I think they're called. I have some of those, and I've got a kit I already have put together, and I keep it in one of my bags. I may have 2 or 3 of those things. I had one that I put together for my 18th century. Let me see if I have that with me. I did bring my haversack, so it may be in here. Y'all stand by. Here's my ye old fire starting kit. Let me pull it out. See what I have in there. I've forgotten. Alright, real quick. The kit I put together today. This was, I believe, an old pellet rifles. And the thing that I learned over time that's kind of frustrating to get back together, so quickness of time, I'm not going to worry with it. I have my flint, have a piece of beeswax candle. There's some fat lighter, char cloth, and some tow. And here, the striker was with it. Somebody had, this is a good striker actually. And I don't like the little points here. But this does not, it's just a little bit too big. I'm going to try to make something about this size that'll fit. A little bit shorter that'll fit in here. Alright guys. This is from Cold Cracker. I like this, man. It's beefy. Got a lot of room on it. Man, this little, my older striker throws better. I don't know if y'all can see them sparks coming off the bottom. But I want to make my own. And see how I can do. Maybe I'll have a video on that later on down the road. But here's some steel for your flint and steel. A little piece of flint, a big piece of flint. I'll have to share the box of flint that I ordered. Not today, but we'll do that in another video. Alright guys, I hope y'all enjoy this one. Hope you find it enlightening. Maybe I helped you learn something today. A little fun little activity to get out and put your kit together if you're bored. Go buy you some Altoids, eat them, or put them in a Ziploc bag, and then you have your can. I would highly suggest you get the can seasoned, get that paint off of it, and then use it. This was, like I said, a pellet, and I took a hammer and I knocked it out, give it that shape, but it don't want to close together right. Alright everybody, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button for me, leave me a comment, and if you're not subscribe to my channel, go ahead and subscribe to it and follow along with these adventures. Y'all take care, everyone. Have a great day. See you.